welcome to The Point for today, Tuesday. It is the 21st day of October 2025, and on Tuesdays we usually have a representative from the opposition. In this case, it is a representative from the New National Party. I'm joined this morning by former Senator and current Labor Relations Officer at the New National Party, Mr. Winston Garraway. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am doing good.
Yeah. All right. How's life?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Working hard and at least I'm enjoying.
Okay.
Doing a lot of farming and I'm enjoying.
Farming. Okay.
Yeah. Enjoy doing this. Okay. Yeah. I've been a farmer all my life.
Okay.
Yeah, all my life. Okay. So right now I'm doing a lot of poultry and other short crops and so forth.
Yeah. Making sure that the nation is able to feed itself.
Well, I believe in this, and while in government, I did support the whole initiative of enlarging the market space for local farmers in poultry and so on. Okay. I was on those committees assisting, so I understand this, and I'm happy to be doing this right now.
Okay, but this morning we're not talking agriculture. This morning we're talking health and a number of other pertinent matters. As a matter of fact, we want to start off this morning with primary health care and community access. Now, from your observation, okay, how would you describe the state of healthcare in Grenada right now, especially at the community level?
Well, thanks, Gordon, and I am indeed happy to be here this morning to speak on a very important issue, healthcare. In government for 9 years, I would have reported on health in the Senate, so I am kind of au fait with some of the issues. And this one that you raised, primary health care, cut at the heart of the issue, really and truly. In government, we believe that if you strengthen your primary health care and provide service to people at the communities, one, you will be able to reduce the number of cases that will go to the general hospital. But most importantly, people will be able to access health care close to their homes. So that in itself will inspire within a nation the sort of confidence that your government is looking out for you. The government is ensuring that basic health care is at the fingertip. You can get it. And this is not happening on a large scale right now. And it is very concerning. Concerning to the point that I guess as much you may recall that the National Democratic Congress campaigned on health care. And as a matter of fact, I remember hearing the Prime Minister saying that they will ensure that at every parish, a health center will be operating 24/7. Meaning that access to healthcare will be right at your doorstep. But this isn't happening. And when we talk about ensuring that this is there so that people can access the service, NMP has been very concerned about this. And we started to ensure that those health centers around the country were upgraded. I was a part of the launch of primary health care in St. Patrick's. I remember this vividly. And all the information that was provided, but most importantly, the access to care right there. And we have done this. And I remember when the first phase of the upgrade of the General Hospital was done. And the accusation from the opposition of you. One, they didn't like the location of the General Hospital. And two, they felt there should have been more beds. And the government said, this is an opportunity to ensure that we develop on our primary health care and to make access available within the communities. And you may recall that the polyclinic in Guelph, which is underused at this point in time, the funding for this was lost by the NDC government.
Why so?
They've been fighting within the government, and I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty, but there was infighting within the government. The Minister for Health and the representative from St. John's it was a open fiasco. And in the meantime, the funding, which was grant funding from the European Union, we lost it. And when the NP came back into office after 2008, in 2013 to be exact, we renegotiated with the European Union. And we were successful in getting back those grant funding to ensure that the polyclinic in Guelph was built. And you will understand the plan that was established by the NNP. The Western Corridor, they're talking about St. John, St. Mark, and St. Patrick. These 4 parish constituencies. We wanted to make sure, or the parishes to be exact, we wanted to make sure that access to healthcare was within reach. So we moved assiduously to ensure that the Guelph Polyclinic was established. And as I said, we were successful in getting back the grant funding to build a state-of-the-art facility and to install modern equipment. Today, well, I was told that the equipment have been relocated. So it's not those, they're not available in St. John. You may not necessarily have a problem with this, because if it is relocated and it is providing care for the people, great. But let's look at the vision that was installed by the NNP to ensure that within that period, think about it, a mother with complications in pregnancy having to travel from St. Patrick to St. George. This could be a matter of life and death. So St. John in the middle, that facility was there to take care of this. So if there's a serious emergency, then you move from there. After stabilizing the person, move from there into St. George. But not having this available and being utilized for the desired purpose, there is a problem. So that is a problem within primary health care at this point in time. Our NNP government will ensure that we go back to the basics. We will go back to making sure that people can access proper health care within the parishes, and in cases where there are emergencies, they will be able to get care at the general hospital. But there's another issue that is a burning issue. When you hear of the horror stories coming from the general hospital, and a basic thing like basic medication not available, you have to question why. When you campaign on ensuring that you're going to prioritize health and to provide services for people, why is it's not happening? You heard from the last budget that the travel budget was overspent.
What travel budget is this?
The national travel budget.
Okay.
So within the government, you would budget a number of dollars ready for overseas travels and so forth and so on. That was overspent. But healthcare was underspent by over $24 million. If we had prioritized health, that wouldn't have happened. And no wonder why you're hearing of shortages of basic medication within the hospital.
If I may interject here, it is often said that the shortages that we experience in the general hospital, it's not a problem of now, but it's a problem that they got when they got there because of situations where pharmaceutical companies were not willing to disburse medication because of payment issues from the previous administration. So it's in essence it's a problem that was inherited. What do you say to that?
That is not true. It's a reverse. In 2013, when the NNP came back into office, we had an outstanding bill to the OECS PPS of over $6 million. And let me just break this down. The OECS PPS is an arrangement within the OECS islands to purchase medication in bulk. So by economies of scale, you will get it at a lower price. And in so doing, government will expend less to procure the medication if they were to go on the open market and get it. We had to fix this in 2013 when we came in, pay off the $6 million, and then was able to start accessing medication. When we demitted office in 2022, there was not that problem because we had a current arrangement going with the OECS PPS. Today, I understand the arrangement is not in place. And the only reason why it will not be in place is because if we owing them huge sums of monies, they will not extend the credit to us as they would do on normal circumstances. So the issue right now is shortages is because we are not benefiting from the arrangement with the OECS PPS. And I'm saying, and I heard the minister would have spoken of having to access medication elsewhere. Why? When there is an arrangement that has been established for many years to serve the governments within the region, primarily serve the people. And we are not benefiting from this because we have not prioritized health. And when I said the budget for health was underspent by over $24 million, you can see the reason why. Because we have not prioritized it, and we are not providing the services to the people that you promise you will do. And there's another issue on this. I've seen that you raise this. The NMP would have ensured that a social worker would have been stationed within the hospital to provide service to people who are at the place where they're not able to procure services, health services. So when those cases comes into the domain of the general hospital, they will be interviewed by the social worker, and based on her findings, will make recommendation for assistance. I understand if the social worker is on station, that service is not available at this point in time. Why? If we are so care and we're so concerned about the people in the low echelon in the economic ladder in this country, those people who are not able to access the services because they do not have the funds to pay for it, why aren't we providing the services that was there before? Why have we taken it away? And don't think I'm just saying this thing and yeah, he's representing the NMP, so he will say those things. But remember the Minister of Health, and give him credit for it. He did say that they have not moved the needle of healthcare in the country. He's basically admitting that they have not changed the circumstances when they promised that they would do it. So when you hear of the horror stories, I remember one medical service provider, a nurse in the hospital from on the western side. It's alleged she died because the basic medication was not available to provide. And I could imagine not just the pain and horrors of the family, but her co-workers who could not do what they were trained to do because the necessary medication was not available. This is painful. It's even painful just to relate it at this point in time. But the big problem I'm seeing within healthcare in the country is that of leadership, but most importantly, that of care. Care for people. And we know the adage. The wealth of the nation is the health of the nation. I could go backwards. Health of the nation is the wealth of the nation. And if we are not providing those services for our people, we are creating an environment where more hardship and suffering will be had by people who do not have the means to pay for the services. This has to change. And my advocation right now to the government is take stock. Stop, reflect, and let's go back to providing the services that will help the nation. Let's go back to providing the health care that the people need and deserve. We cannot go back to this old-time days. I don't know if you remember, during the period of 2008 and 2013, when NP limited office, we would have completed phase 1 of the hospital developmental program, and we were in the phase 2 section of it. Remember the phase 2? The steel frame was established, was installed. Funds were available because we got grant funding to the tune of $5 million for that phase 2. And the monies were available. As a matter of fact, materials were on the ground because they were procured already. And for the 4.5 to 5 years the NDC was in office, did absolutely nothing to complete phase 2. It had to take the NMP coming back into office in 2013 to complete phase 2. Today it housed the Accident and Emergency Department. We have to start questioning, why is it that when the NDC administration is in office, healthcare suffers? Why? And we're seeing it, and you're hearing the horror stories, and you're asking, please have a heart. Stop. Take stock, and let's prioritize health. Let's ensure that people receive the services that they deserve.
All right, folks, it's now 19 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm speaking with the Labor Relations Officer in the New National Party, Mr. Winston Garraway, as we look at the healthcare system in Grenada today. We take a commercial break. We'll be back after these messages. Don't you go anywhere.
Was a voice from the pulpit, now away from the altar, but never away from purpose. Father Gerald Paul now takes the Legends stage with fire, conviction, and a calypso that's stirring the nation. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m., Grenada Trade Center. Father Gerard Paul sings Truth to Power.
In the face of all this violence, I will preach.
Along with the best of Grenada, Black Prince, and the Pink Panther. Tickets $60 and are available at all Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies. Quick Stop at Otway Service Station, Springs Food Mart, Clear Vision Eye Center, Gittins Pharmacy, St. George's, St. David's Pharmacy, and GoToFed.com. Father Gerard Paul, along with the voices of legends and their stories that shaped generations. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. One stage, one night. Get your tickets now.
Cannot just pretend everything is fine as I run me mind.
Come on out, Grenada. Let's move to live. Sunday, October 26, 2025. Fitness walk beginning with warm-up at 2 p.m. at Progress Park St. Andrew. Organize your churches, clubs, family, and community. Great prizes to be won. Call 442-7450 to order your t-shirts now. Features and attractions galore to keep you moving. Hosted by the Health and Youth Departments of the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists.
Residents of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, have you ever wondered how you can benefit from Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program? Join the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada for the next IMA Symposium series on October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Mermaid Hotel Conference Room, Carriacou. This public forum will explore how local developers and those aspiring to become developers can access new earning opportunities through the CBI program. Hear from key experts representing the Investment Migration Agency, the CBI Committee, and the Grenada Investment Development Corporation as they discuss recent regulatory changes designed to expand local participation. This is your chance to gain insight, ask questions, and discover how you can be part of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique's development story. Don't miss it. Join the conversation on October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Mermaid Hotel Conference Room.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners, to the Point for today, Tuesday, the 21st day of October. With me this morning is a representative from the New National Party, Mr. Winston Garraway, as we talk on the healthcare situation in Grenada. We're focusing on health, right? I want to ask you this question. Whereas you say that not enough or nothing is being done, and no focus is placed on health by the current administration, but they can boast of Project Polaris that is to come, and a lot of emphasis, a lot of work has been done in that direction already. From NNP's perspective, what would you do differently as it relates to the best health care and resources, human resources, and all that? What would NNP do differently?
Well, first and foremost, let's be clear. We would not have an issue with a modern facility. Absolutely no issue. But you have to be aware that Project Polaris is about the future. We are concerned about what is currently happening now. And where you have people not being able to access basic health care, you have a problem. So are you saying, yes, we're going to focus all our attention on a futuristic plan and ignore the current circumstances where people are not able to access basic health care? No, this does not make sense. And let me just be very clear on this. Project Polaris, we have not yet been given what the full cost of this project. But I did a little research, a comparative research with the Sir Eric William Health Facility in Trinidad and Tobago, situated in Mount Hope. This facility came into being in 1979 during the oil boom. Trinidad had a lot of money. And the intention was to develop this state-of-the-art facility. $660 million it costs the government to put this facility down. In 1979, so you're talking about 10 years late, 1989. So it started in 1979. In 1989, 10 years later, they had a phase opening, and it went from 89 to 92. Are you saying with Project Polaris, with the grand scale, we have over 80 acres of land, and a lot been said what will be done on this piece of land? When I did my research, I wasn't able to get the size of the land plot, but the size of the facility is in the vicinity of around 40,000 square feet. So you're looking at probably in the vicinity, is less than probably 10 acres. But the point here is this. If it took them that long to build a facility, and it would have cost them over $6 $100 million. To date, what we've been told by the government, that this project will be financed by the Afri Bank. And we heard that they pledged $250 million. This will never be able to build that facility. So in the meantime, what happened to the people in Hope St. Andrew who were looking for health care? The people in Tabor. Tell me what happened to the people in Carriacou, Petit Martinique. We want to ensure that we focus on what is currently happening in this country. And right now, people need access to proper health care. We don't want to go back to the days, I don't know if you remember it, when between 2008 and 2013, when basic service, the elevator in the hospital wasn't working. And it's like the government just couldn't find a way to get it done. To fix or replace. And the Minister of Health came on national television and said that they have employed 4 strong men to lift patients up the stairs to the theater. In a modern society, they had to take NNP to come back into government to fix that and to ensure that we had proper functioning elevators. All that we were saying, people need access to healthcare now, and ensure that the basic services are available within the parishes as you've campaigned on, and within the general hospital, so that no one will be turned back. Last Thursday, I saw a WhatsApp message of someone who went to access healthcare within the ER, accident and emergency, and they took a picture of a posting of the cost for services within the ER. And so I asked the question, if one do not have the funds to pay for the services, will the service be provided to them? And I didn't get a response. I didn't get an answer to this. So the Minister of Health will need to come to clarify this to the nation and say, yes, there is a posting of the fees for basic services within accident and emergency, but don't worry, if you don't have the resources, care will still be provided to you. You know, I know we're paying Mount Sinai over $2 million annually to assist with running of healthcare in the country. I'm not sure if this is one of the proposal that was given to this government, because in the United States, if the money is not available, they will not touch you. So I'm wondering if this is one of the recommendations from Mount Sinai. But the Minister of Health need to come and allay the fears, because when I was at a business place when that information was presented to me, and the ladies were not too happy. You could have seen the anxiety. What is happening? So if those people come from way out in the countryside and do not have the funds, what happens to them? The Minister of Health need to clarify this. Need to clarify and say, you will be taken care of.
So to go back to the original question, now we're hearing a lot of the shortcomings of the current healthcare situation. Now, to instill some measure of hope into our people, what would NNP do differently should the election be called and NNP forms the next government? What would NNP do differently as it relates to what is currently being done now?
Well, clear and simple. We go back to basics. Basics to ensure that medications are available at the hospital. People who are not able to access care because they do not have the funding, The social worker will be there to assess the case and to make sure that people get care, to ensure that, clear and simple, that every individual in the country, everyone, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter, as you say, your location or your economic standing, but the government, the NAP government, will be there for you. And we will do what we have done in the past to ensure that basic health care is available when you need it.
Are you suggesting that, okay, for families, individuals who cannot afford, because you mentioned just a while ago that the costing for some services were posted and so forth. Are you suggesting that an NNP government would ensure that the populace get free health care?
Listen, it has happened before. And this will not be anything new to Grenada and the rest of the world. There are people within the country who will not be able to pay for health services. And the former NNP administration, we ensured that these people were not left behind, they were provided for. And I'm saying in a new NNP government, when we form the next government, we will ensure that people will be able to access healthcare, even if they don't have whatever resources that is required, basic fees. Even if they don't have it, they will be able to access the healthcare. Because we have proven time and time again that NNP government speaks to the issues, we promise, and we keep those promises, we deliver on them, and we are concerned about the well-being of our people. We are concerned about the health care for our people. We have done this over the years, and we will continue to do it when we form the next government.
Now, as it relates to costing for health services, health is costly. The provision of health services is a costly venture for any government to undertake. Hence the reason why we have situations where health insurance, individual health insurance, personal health insurance, but there was talk in the previous NNP's regime, not regime, but in the administration of national health insurance. I personally interviewed a number of people, the consultant, Mr. Ned, and so forth, but I'm not hearing much about it anymore. Is it something that NNP will pursue vigorously when and if they get back into office?
Okay, so I agree with you. Remember, I spent over 25 years in the insurance industry, so I have a pretty good knowledge of health insurance and so forth, and that is important to have. But there are people who are not able to have health insurance for more than one reason. So the government pursued national health insurance. And yes, we had the last consultant we were working with was Kester Ned, and he with the GPA organization, and did a lot of work in terms of bringing us to the place where we were probably close towards a launch of the program. The University of the West Indies, through that organization headed by Professor Theodore, they were given an opportunity as well to do their own research. And they provided information that clearly the funding of the national health insurance was not sustainable. It would have cost, they were recommending to do payroll deductions and so forth, and it meant that they're going to be burdened on a certain section of the population that the government, when analyzing it, realized it couldn't work. So that proposal was not accepted. So Kester Ned was given the opportunity, and quite a lot was done to bring us to the place where you could have seen a path. The government came and government decided that they would not continue to work with questionnaire. And now we heard, I think it was in the throne speech, that they will be going back to Professor Theodore and the whatever he would have presented before. If it didn't work before, it won't work now. But I don't think that is the issue. I think this is a deliberate issue of stalling. If you're going to go back to Professor Theodore, you will not be able to launch healthcare between now and elections. You would talk about it, but you will not be able to, because you're now going back to almost starting from zero. So I believe this is a deliberate ploy to stall and to put a wool over the eyes of the people. I agree with you. There are folks who will not be able to access healthcare because they do not have the wherewithal. And national health insurance was the principle behind it is to ensure that those people will be cared for. And what I'm hearing and I'm seeing from the government, they're not so concerned about national health insurance at this point in time.
Okay. All right, folks, it's 22 minutes on to 10 o'clock. It's To the Point, speaking with Mr. Winston Garraway. We take a commercial break. When we come back, what we do, we continue on the discourse, but we also give you the callers and viewers and listeners to call in and join in the conversation. Let's hear your input. You might be able to ask Mr. Garraway a question or two that he can clarify if you have some misconception on something. Okay, so this is To the Point. We take a break. We'll be back after these messages.
Sunday, November the 9th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Legends Promotion presents the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert featuring the best of Grenada, along with two special guest artists. This edition promises to be extra special. Get ready, Grenada, to be blown with surprises at the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. Sunday, November the 9th, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center. Stay tuned to GBN for more.
Hubbard's, Grenada Broadcasting Network, Grenada Paper Products, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark Sport, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenville Cooperative Credit Union, Rennick Thompson and Company Limited, and Pierre Marcel, proud partners of the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m., Grenada Trade Center.
Got something to share?
Call us at 440-1252.
WhatsApp 405-3052 or 407-8458.
Or email gbnnews@gbn.gd.
GBN News, first, accurate, voted #1.
Like a freestyle, the life blood flowing mile by mile. It's legacy, a beat that don't stop like Bob Marley said. One love on top. The sewage water out of sight, but it's always wrong. Don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep, corals, mangroves and fish they weep. Grey water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight, but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow. Like water running pure, the cycle grows. It renews itself, same drop, same beat. It's all good, man, you got the heat. Water flow, no clean water, no pipes we grow. Protect our water, protect our future. future.
Time to go.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. It's To The Point, and this morning I'm speaking with Mr. Winston Garraway, representing the opposition New National Party. We're talking health. Before we went off, Mr. Garraway, we were looking at hospitals and the provision of healthcare, affordable healthcare, and so forth. And it must be understood that health in general is not a cheap something. All right. This morning I was talking with members from the Breast Cancer or the Red Ribbon Society and so forth, and Dr. Duncan was saying early detection. From an NP's perspective, do you see, better? How should I put it? Proactive stance being taken even from the schools, like with the school feeding program. We are what we eat. Are we going to go, is NMP going to pay attention to, health and even at the school level?
Of course. And you have to remember that under NMP government, we would have established, yes, the school feeding program. We ensure that the children had a meal that somewhat a balanced with a balanced diet. What we will do differently this time around is to reinstate the program to what it used to be, so that teachers and the cooks do not have to scratch their head as to where they're getting the resources from to provide a balanced diet for our students. But most importantly, to ensure that we have, yes, counselors and nurses attached to schools, so that we will have program where our children will be educated on the importance of eating right. And of course, you have to work in conjunction with the Food and Nutrition Department, because what we have been told, and the data is there to substantiate this, that the incidence of non-communicable diseases in Grenada is very high. And there is a correlation to this and our diet. So we will have to ensure that we put systems in place to, one, guide our youngsters as to how they eat, but also to provide information during our Parent-Teachers Association meetings, where the same health professionals will be able to impart knowledge to our parents and guardians as to meals, the preparation of meals, and how we should take a more proactive stance in ensuring that from a very early age we instill the right information in our young people. I remember some years ago I was involved in a consultation, and prior to this I took an opportunity to go into the marketing board and to look at our fresh produce and so forth. And there was sweet yam, and they were spoiling. And I asked why. I said, people not buying it because the children don't want to eat it. And in the consultation I said, we have to develop the taste for our local foods in our children. I remember as a youngster growing up, I'm seeing my mom, and I'm seeing other ladies in St. Andrews, Birchgrove to be exact, where I grew up, taking the young blogger and crushing it and put a little butter in it and feed the child. And I used to think, oh my gosh, man, that's kind of horrible. How are you giving the child this hard stuff? And they would do with the green bananas and the yams and sweet potatoes and so forth. But little did I know what they were actually doing is developing a taste for our local foods. And I was saying in the consultation, our youngsters don't want to eat our local things because they do not have a taste for it. So they didn't want to eat the sweet yam because they did not develop a taste for it. But, I mean, foods that was prepared, you have the canned potatoes and canned apples and so forth. And we're feeding our children with this, and that's what they grow up liking. And you see all the fancy food from outside of Grenada coming in, and they will be purchased off the shelves. But our local stuff remains. So we have to go back to help develop the taste for our local foods from an early age. So children don't want to eat callaloo. Big people I'm seeing today, yucky, they don't want to eat callaloo. They don't want to eat okras and so forth. I remember my son in particular, when he was 3 and going to preschool, and he had that fun and love for carrots. And the teacher apparently was saying to them, you eat your carrot, it will make your eyes shiny. And he came home and was saying this to his mom and I, that we have to make sure that we eat carrots practically every day. Yeah. Because it can make your eyes shiny. And this was a very good piece that was taught to him by the teacher. So we have to go back to this. And NAP administration will ensure that we provide the basic stuffs within the hot meal program so that our children will get the proper nutrition. And as I've said before, we will have the nurses and other counselors who will be able to help. Okay. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Hi, good morning to you, Innocent, and good morning to your guest this morning. Healthcare is so important, but we know it's so expensive. But it's unfortunate when we try to politicize it and use it as a football. I heard your guest speak about the phase 2 of the General Hospital, and I'm scratching my head to figure out what he's talking about. Because I want to ask him, first of all, if he remembers at what time and which government was in power when phase 2 was halted. What year it was halted? And which government was in power when it was halted? He gave the impression that when the NDC came, they stopped the project. To my recollection, it was being done for the World Cup in 2007. And they couldn't finish it. They had problems. And it was stopped somewhere around 2006. 2 years before the NDC came into office. Truth matters, Mr. Garraway. Answer this question. Who closed it and in what year? The NDC did not resume it, but don't make it look as though the NDC halted it. That is not true. That could never be the truth. Now, you're talking about healthcare. It is still not where it's supposed to be, far. But from what I've been gathering over the past 12 months or so, they have been seeing incremental improvements. I know some of the last things the NNP did at the end of the last term was to close down a number of health centers around the island. They were trying to centralize healthcare. Can you tell me how many of those health centers have now been reopened? Be honest and tell us how many have been reopened. The other question I would like to ask you, you spoke of somebody coming with a list of prices, fees. Are you aware? You're a man of the cloth. Be honest. Truth matters. Are you aware of any person, any individual, just one person, who had gone to the hospital, to the emergency or any department, who has been turned away because they did not have money? 3 questions. When was phase 2 halted and by whom? How many health centers have been put back in commission? And how many persons have been turned away because of lack of funds to pay for health care? Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will start with the last question. I did say in my presentation, only Thursday I received the information, and I couldn't ascertain, because I asked the question, if you do not have the resources, would you be provided with services? And they couldn't answer. So I'm asking the Minister of Health to come and clarify the air. Come and clarify the air. If you do not have the resources, if the services will be provided to you. Second question, as it relates to the phase 2 of the General Hospital. My brother, you seem not to be aware as to what was the issue. And so I'll break it down for you. The issue with the phase 2 of the General Hospital, and it took the NNP to come back and to fix it. The resources, as I said, was received as a grant of $5 million from the government of the people of Venezuela. They purchased the steel frame from the government and people of Cuba. The intention was to erect 5 floors and to hang the air conditioning unit on the outside of the building. But you have to remember, Grenada's health care protocols is after what the Pan American would have provided. And basically, their protocol established that the AC should be in the ceiling. Just a simple reconfiguration that was required. And when this was ascertained and had to be fixed, NNP would have demitted office. The information was available, and it should have been corrected by the NDC who came into office on July 8, 2008, and did absolutely nothing. So when we returned to office in 2013, we dismantled. We took down the steel frame and made it 4 floors so that the AC could be hanged in the roof or in the ceiling, as to follow the protocol of the Pan American Health Organization, and that's what we have today. So you're not aware. So when you're not aware, you don't make blanket statement, you ask questions. And the final one, it is not true to say that we were centralizing health care in the country. So we were closing health centers around the country. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I remember when the health facility in Grand Anse, because of problem with the land surface, and there was issue and had to be closed down. But a brand new one was built lower down in Grand Anse. So if you're thinking that was because of centralizing, that's not so. Why you think we would have gone out and worked vigorously to regain the lost funds that the NDC would have, because of the infighting, lost for the building of the polyclinic in St. John's? Why you think we went back and vigorously lobbied the European Union to get the monies? Because the intention was to ensure that throughout the country we had available health facilities that was very close and people can access service. And I said very early, I was a part of the rollout of primary health care in St. Patrick's. That was not a national initiative. So to come here and to say, you didn't ask the question, but you said, we were shutting down health centers around the country. My brother, I respectfully would say to you, that's not true.
Okay. All right, we do have a caller via our WhatsApp platform. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Mr. Host, thanks for having me. And and guests also. If you could just bear me out 2 minutes to make my point. Recently, I heard in one of the programs that one of the guests did criticize the issue of the tax on sugar. And the current guest mentioned, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that non-communicable disease are pretty of concern in Grenada. And I must say that diabetes is one of them. And we know it's been scientific, there's a known, scientifically shown over and over that high sugar, and we're talking about problems. And given his concern about that and the government initiation or increasing tax on sugar, don't you think that we should align our policy and agree with that policy? Because we talk about what do we do for this chronic non-communicable disease. And the government, there are multiple approach. One, to provide better health care. Another thing is prevention and secondary prevention, primary and secondary. And one of the ways that that's done is to increase the tax on sugar. People will not starve because of increased tax on sugar. Sugar is necessary for the body, glucose for the brain, but we don't need to eat sugar to get the sugar. We get it from the fig, the dasheen, the bulgur, the rice, the corn, all. To address the health problem, don't you think we should refrain from politicizing that?
Okay.
Thanks very much, caller. I smile because I like the question. And you see, a tax on sugar, and on the surface of it, you would think it was designed towards lowering the sugar intake in the country. No, it's much more than that. This is a revenue generating policy. Listen to me carefully. The government had to find a way and look at one of the commodities in the country that is heavily used, and they came up with sugar. If this was the primary reason, I would have used something that would not have affected the lives of families to the extent and the small cottage industry as this is doing. Why couldn't it be on alcohol? Alcohol, the content of sugar in alcohol is very high as well. Why couldn't it be there? But let's break this thing a little further. The children, yes, you're right. We can get the sugar via the foods that we eat in the country, but I did say that we have a problem because a lot of our local foods our children are not eating. What is important? The children use the sugar, and you ensure that they spend adequate time out exercising, playing, not spending all the time with the gadgets. And when you have a program where our children will, yes, get the nutrients that they deserve and the body needs, and provide this with adequate exercise and so forth, it will not create that problem that you're talking about. But let's look at it. The issue here, we have a problem with non-communicable disease. Diabetes is one of them. And I'm saying our diet has a role to play in this. We could have looked at imposing this tax on alcohol, because the impact of it on sugar, let's look at. A lot of our cottage industries have been impacted. And the same single-parent household where they make the tambourine ball, the groundnut sugar cake, and the fudge and sugar cake and so forth, to help to provide sustenance for the family. That has been cut. So, you need to revisit this.
Okay. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Yeah, well, good morning, Mr. Joseph. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to bowl the last over. Listen, I beg to deviate from you the matters related to health and so on, which is very important indeed. But this throwing it here with the government, and I can't take on because we have one government in this here country. My question to Mr. Garraway, and it's because Mr. Garraway used to be a senator, lawmaker, parliamentarian, legislator in this here country, Mr. Garraway. A couple of months ago, 2 laws were passed in this country related to the change of the oath of office, of allegiance. In other words, we no more swearing to King Charles III, but we swear into Grenada. Now, you may not be able to answer the question, but I hope that you take it up if you can and discuss with your people when you go back because you hold a representative position in your party. Evidence abounds that the theory used by the CC birds of the CCR, and which luckily convinced the parliamentarians that the Schedule 3 of the Constitution was easily separated from Section 111 of the Constitution. Evidence shows that it is false. It is a hoax. Have you any knowledge of this, sir? Have you consulted Section 39(1) of the Constitution as relates to the the means specified or manner specified in the Constitution for modifying or altering? In other words, what's your view on this issue, sir? Are you satisfied with the laws passed? Is your party satisfied with the laws passed? And what are you doing about it? Thank you much, and you have very much and have a nice day. Will you, sir?
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rollo, and I appreciate the question very much. It has been passed in Parliament, and I understand his concern because this has been raised. This is Section 39 as he raised here, Section 3, subsection 39. The issue here, and I don't want to speak on an issue that, one, to condemn the parliamentarians, because my parliamentarians voted for this. There are issues that has been popping up right now, but we voted. It would be hypocritical for me to come now and to, in one way or the other, castigate the decision that was made by my people. I will not do this. So I will leave it there because we voted for it.
Okay. All right. Well, we've exhausted the time. Folks, it's 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Mr. Garraway, parting words, on to the point?
Well, yes. Thanks again for the opportunity. And we, as a party, we want to ask the government to reprioritize healthcare in this country, to revisit the plan of ensuring that, as you would have campaigned, one health center in each parish will be operating 24/7. To revisit how we roll out the school feeding program. This is about our children. And most importantly, to ensure that basic medications are available for people when they enter into the general hospital. As we've said before, the health of a nation is the wealth of the nation. And the people are asking for it, and they deserve it. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, that has been the program this morning, To The Point. Speaking there with Mr. Winston Garraway, representative of the New National Party. Thank you for being a part of the program one way or the other. Your contribution means a whole lot. And if the good Lord spare your lives, we'll have another program same time tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye. This is To The Point.